Before the first shadow fell on Earth, there was the congregation of Xylos. It is a world without color, a planet of obsidian and ice orbiting a dying white dwarf. Here, there are no individuals, only the directive. The great congregation spent decades observing us. In their silent, crystalline halls, they ran billions of simulations on human behavior. They watched our satellite feeds, our broadcasts, our wars. They saw a species that was loud, disorganized, and biologically fragile. To them, we were a mathematical error that needed to be corrected. Their invasion was not a war, it was an act of cosmic landscaping.
Biosignature detected, Vale. High density, quadrant 0.0738. Sector Delta 7 established. No anomalies detected within prescribed parameters. Initiating spectral sweep for Class 4 biosignatures.
The carbon units are inefficient.
They burn their own resources for comfort. Their resistance is statistically improbable.
The atmosphere is saturated. The rhythmic silence has taken hold. Begin the harvest.
They prepared their ships not as weapons, but as containers. They didn't sharpen blades, they calibrated frequencies. They were so certain of their logic that they didn't even bring soldiers in the traditional sense. They brought collectors. They left their world thinking they were going to prune a garden. They had no idea they were walking into a hornet's nest. They didn't arrive with a bang. They arrived with a groan of the very atmosphere itself. As the spires settled into our sky, the air turned the color of a fresh bruise, deep purples and sickly oranges as the nitrogen ignited against their hulls. We looked up and saw the end of our own importance. These weren't ships. They were floating cathedrals of obsidian, so vast they had their own weather patterns. For the first few minutes, there was a terrible, holy silence. Then the reaction hit. It wasn't a coordinated retreat. It was the frantic, directionless scurrying of an overturned anthill. We saw the greatness of their machines and realized we were nothing more than a variable they had already solved. When the spires descended, they didn't just occupy our sky, they claimed our atmosphere.
They didn't come from the horizon. They didn't even enter the atmosphere. They just manifested.
A mass of the ether with a gravitancy.
Check the frequencies again. If they aren't using propulsion, how are they staying up there?
They aren't staying up there, Doctor. Look, the readings, they're beginning to descend.
Hey! You seeing this? My radio just went dead. Nothing but a humming sound.
Away from me.
Is it a bomb? Is that a cloud? No, it's metallic. Look at the way the light bends around it. Is it ours? Is it a military test?
It was the first sign of the collapse. Nature broke before we did. The birds simply lost the sky. They became heavy, living hail, crashing through the glass and stone of our world as if they had forgotten how to exist. In that moment, the sidewalk wasn't a path anymore. It was a graveyard of the air. A low-frequency groan that vibrated the very fluid in our inner ears. We looked up and saw geometry that shouldn't exist, obsidian needles kilometers long hanging motionless against the gravity that should have brought them screaming down. The greatness of the congregation was their absolute indifference. They didn't declare war, they simply arrived, and in that arrival, the social contract of humanity dissolved. We saw the scale of their ships and realized that our tanks, our jets, and our boarders were toys. Panic didn't start with a scream. It started with a collective breath held so long it turned into a sob. Then, the craziness took hold. In New York, Tokyo, and London, the streets became rivers of frantic, directionless motion. People weren't running to safety. They were running from the shadow. We became a species of ants scurrying away from a boot that hadn't even landed yet. It was the moment we realized that to the great congregation, we weren't enemies. We were just the inhabitants of a garden they had come to harvest. It wasn't a retreat, it was a breakdown. We didn't run to hide, we just ran until we hit something harder than our own fear. The sound of the ships didn't just rattle our windows, it shattered our minds. In those streets, we weren't a civilization anymore. We were just bodies in motion, crashing into the glass of our own making, desperate to find a hole in a world that had suddenly closed in on us.
I can't shut them off. Every screen in the shop is slave to the same signal. Is that a map? It looks like a brain scan. Odd cost. It's inside my teeth.
At that same moment, the world split into two distinct realities. In the sky, the great congregation was no longer a silent observer. The spires began to breathe, exhaling thousands of dark, metallic spheres that rained down like black hail. They weren't all the same. Some carried the originals, the spindly, clinical collectors of Xylos, but others were different. They were heavier, scuttling machines that looked like obsidian spiders, designed not to harvest, but to secure the perimeters with terrifying speed. Below, in the bowels of the earth, the second reality was waking up. After the initial paralysis of the rhythmic silence, human command centers from Cheyenne Mountain to the bunkers of the Urals flickered into a frantic, desperate life. We were blind, we were deaf, and our satellites were falling like the birds, but we were finally starting to talk back.
Deploying spider drones. Pattern Alpha. Converge on key infrastructure. Copy. Drones are spreading. Visuals are live. Descent trajectories confirmed. All stations full alert. Copy Central. Spheres entering thermosphere.
This is Sector 4. Does anyone copy? We have spheres
The great
landing in the park.
congregation
Repeat, they are
viewed us
mobile.
as a harvest, but they forgot that a cornered animal doesn't care about the hunter's logic. As the collectors moved into our homes, they encountered something their simulations couldn't predict: the irrationality of love and the insanity of grief. We didn't just hide, we pushed back with everything that wasn't nailed down. We used their own silence against them.
Unidentified objects entering Sector 7 at Mach 5. Confirmed they're clustering. Trajectory locked. Get a defensive grid up, now.
I don't care about the casualties. If those spheres land in Sector 7, we lose the grid. Fire the interceptors.
I'm on its flank, emptying the magazine. Got to direct hit. Going to quick fast. Like an imperial bell.
Impacts confirmed, Commander. Direct hits of the position find. Look what it takes. They're in the spot, pistol! Behind!
It's not just the soldiers they want everything.
Having that, nobody low! Open fire, damn it, even if it just makes them notice us! They're in the smoke! They're invisible! Retreat! Retreat! Did you see that? Something moved in the smoke! There was a shimmer! Relax! Move! Get to cover! They're everywhere! Harvester drones! They're like wasps! My missile lock is failing! The hum hits in my head! They're everywhere! Harvester drones!
No, my God, it's all gone!
The silence that's it has eating in box. It's not working, Sarge! They're just bouncing off every...
That's not done! It's hot! That's not striking! That's mommy! Make it stop!
I've got a lock! Fox 2! Eat it, you bucket of bolts! General! Systems are failing! We have incoming! Status reports for source. Unknown! It's fast!
Who are these persons? I searched Captain Jack's info change intelligence. We have him on the line.
Copy, Jax. Can we break it?
Not break it, sync with it. Look at the way the birds fell. Wasn't a hit, it was a desync.
Understood. Relaying to the aerial wings. Jax, get out of there. You've got a collector sphere landing 3 blocks north of your position.
Negative, Command. I need to see the original's deployment speaks. Staying on that line. Grenades out! Push forward! Aim for the joints! The joints are soft! Bring it down! General, Board 3 is active. We have a stable uplink from the London land down.
London is dark. Who's broadcasting?
Sir, it's a high priority encryption. We have Jax from intelligence on the line.
Patch him through immediately. General, stop the kinetic strikes. I have the freak room sending the intel now. Spider drone schematics confirmed. It's adapting fast. Crystalline energy spiking. We need to move now. Then tell your pilots to stay sharp, sir. I'm opening the door. You just have to walk through it. Transmitter online. Signal boosting. They're locking on. Come on. I found it, General. It's not a shield. It's a song, a frequency. And I just figured out how to sing back.
For millennia, we looked at the stars and asked, are we alone? We finally got our answer, but the Xylos made a mistake. They thought they were harvesting a primitive species. They didn't realize they were kickstarting a sleeping giant. The silence has been broken. We have scavenged their crashed drones. We have mapped their obsidian hulls. We have decoded the very frequency they use to mute us. We aren't just defending the soil anymore. We are learning. We are adapting. The goal is no longer to drive them back. The goal is to follow them home. We have seen the stars, and now we have the keys to reach them. If the Xylos wanted a quiet planet, they should have picked another world, because humanity is coming, and we want to see how they like being invaded. They called it the Icarus-01. It wasn't pretty. It was a scarred, bolted-together beast of burden, built in the dark while the world above burned. It was half human ingenuity and half alien nightmare. But as the engines roared to life for the first time, singing a harmony of blue and violet light, we knew one thing for certain. We weren't just building a ship, we were building a spear.
They are not just resisting the harvest, they are defending the soil.
The harvest has failed. The silence is over. Today, we stop being the prey and start being the hunters. We have the technology, we have the coordinates, and we have the will to finish what they started. This is no longer a war for Earth. It is a war for the stars. Join the resistance. Subscribe to the Saga now and turn on notifications. Whether it's the next report from the animal reserves or the first footage from the deep space front lines, you need to see what comes next. Join us for the next episode. The world is watching, and so are they.